My name is Joel Sumner, and I am proudly disbarred from the State Bar of California and the Law Society of Ontario. Both of these organizations are criminal organizations. By their own definitions, by their own laws, by their own rules. As such, I want no part of them. So the oldest law in the books is the anti-corruption law. The anti-corruption law is extortion under the color of official right. Extortion means to obtain. Under the color means for private third-party benefit. And official right means with an official act. In California, there's this case, Hoynes versus Barney Club. And Hoynes was arrested by Barney Club. So Hoynes was then charged with some kind of crime. Instead of prosecuting Hoynes with the crime, the prosecutor threatened Hoynes that if he doesn't sign a release against Barney Club, he would then continue with the prosecution. So under fear of a criminal prosecution, Hoynes signed this release. The Supreme Court of California said that this release dismissal was no reason to hold the involuntary, unconstitutional agreement invalid. Like, wow. Is this not obtaining for the private benefit of Barney Club with an official act? It's clearly corruption. When I've complained to the State Bar of California, ignored me. So the Supreme Court of the United States has a similar case, Town of Newton versus Rummery. Same thing. Involuntary waiver of constitutional rights is no reason to hold the agreement here invalid, the release dismissal. So I decided that, okay, I do have an obligation to arrest felons. Now this actually comes from an ancient concept of a kingdom. You see, the concept to arrest felons is actually breach of the king's peace. That was the crime. If you fail to arrest felons, you breach the king's peace. And why is that? Is because imagine that someone just, murdered one of your family members, and this person's roaming free. And say they have, more weapons and more muscles than you and your family. You're going to go to the king and ask for help. So the king's going to be bothered. And it's not your fault because your family member was murdered. It's the murderer's fault. So in order to prevent people from coming to the king, there's this concept of, you breach the king's peace if you know that a felony has in fact been committed and you fail to make the arrest. So I honored this ancient law, which is still in existence as far as I can tell. And what happened is that the State Bar of California decided to disbar me. They might claim that it's because I didn't show up. But there's no reason to show up. They had all the information right in front of them. They just chose to absolutely ignore it. They have the obligation to arrest corruption, not they have the right to arrest the victim of corruption because he doesn't show up. And I didn't show up because A, there's no point in showing up to a gang's prosecution where they're the judge, jury, and executioner. And B, I was falsely charged with crimes in California, more crimes in California, in order to prevent me from coming there, because I think I was facing like 135 years if I showed up to defend myself in front of the gang. But I didn't stop there, I continued. So then they prosecuted me here in Ontario. And what did I get? I got another group of gangsters. These people knew everything. I laid it all out on the table, what extortion was, what was going on, these cases. They don't care. They ignored it and disbarred me again. So I realized that there's a whole problem. You know, they do this all with criminal defendants. There's a whole racket. They start threatening them with prosecutions unless they pay to charities, particularly battered women's shelters. Then the prosecutors have parties at the battered women's shelters with these vulnerable women where they can then have sex with them pretending to be the heroes, when really they're extortionists. So in order to stop this kind of thing, what we really need to do is get rid of democracy, because that's all about empowering people to use other people's power, and have a kingdom where everyone has their own power. So a king uses his power, and he can't trespass on other people's power. And therefore, he doesn't smash people's reputations because they're accused of crime, because he doesn't have the right to do so, because their reputations don't belong to him. Whereas in democracy, I mean, they seem to do that all the time. Someone gets accused of crime and their face is on the front page of the paper. So in order to bring justice to the world, rather than corruption, we need to change the system from one of democracy to one of the kingdom. Long live the king.